Good evening. Lord Lomba, thank you for having me. Widowhood is not a primitive African system or culture. I think we've demystified that. I think here we are preaching to the choir. If you've met the Lomba Foundation, to a degree you know about widowhood. I became a widow at 32. My husband was killed in the post-election violence of 2008 with a college degree and 2 teacher aspirants. I was still made to go through the harmful traditional practices of sexual cleansing. And then there's the levirate marriage, where they say, Elena, it's wife inheritance. But whose wife is inherited? Is it not widow inheritance? So at that time in Kenya, the social media was beginning to take shape. And I became brave enough, maybe a little foolish if you like, to create a page called Stop Widow Abuse in Kenya. And the day I went to look for my husband's burial permit, he was a politician, so he had a bit of influence. A young man that had lived in my own home was the one serving, and I went to shake his hands, and he quickly pulled his hands away and he said, "You have not been cleansed. You are not able to shake my hands." I came back and wrote, I think, like about 1,000 characters on that page of Stop Widow Abuse in Kenya, this particular incident. Then I forgot about it, and I went to bed. When I woke up, this little article, and my last question on that article was, is this a human rights violation? Is this taking my dignity? Is this calling for systemic change? Or is this about a law? And has anybody ever gone through this? And where are the widows who've gone through this? Where are they? Who are they? What are they doing about it? And if not, what can we do? The entire Kenya media picked it up. And they started inviting me to speak. And I said, I'm not here to share my story for empathy. Because my story, already I'm in grief. I am a childless widow. The goats and cows that were paid for my dowry are even watch math more than me, because women are measured by the number of children they birth, more so if they give birth to sons. Now layer that on widowhood, and layer that on my ignorant self posting this article, and then add a layer of it of social media bashing. Why is she shaming us? Why is she telling this story? So we've done widowhood full circle, cut story short. 2010, when this day was passed, and I remember social media and the internet became a tool for people like me, a place to innovate, a place to build allies, a place to question, and a place to advocate. Because widow organizations are largely not funded. Then 2011, I think, is when I met the Lomba Foundation for the first time. And today, Lord Lomba, you should be proud that we are the evidence. I am the evidence of what this day means. Because how we took it, how we took the day, and what we made out of it. Soon after this day came, there was a call to join the London School of Economics. And I wrote to them and I said, if this program ever makes equity sense, then it should include me. And they took me in as a fellow. And I think we met when I came here and I said, fine, we made it to an institution now. And then when I came out of the London School of Economics in 2018, we met again. I said, we built our movement. I came to your office, I remember. Now we've built a movement. We are 6,000 because our numbers matter here. If we didn't have our numbers, we would be written off. We would disappear. Sometimes when we are a little unhappy, we tell the governor, we shall come and greet you. But we are 1,000 of us. Is that not a small greeting? So they started honoring us because we had the numbers. So when I met Lord Lomba, I said, we have the numbers now. what can we do? He said, then move on to legislation. I said, hey, how do we write a legislation? How do you write? And our friend Margaret, and some of you know, had written the Widows Charter. And I said, what is in this document? What can we localize from this document? The Widows Peace for Democracy had written that document. So we localized it. And we translated it into the local dialect. And then when we did that, they said, oh, there's a matter here. But are they not attacking culture? How can you attack culture? Culture is, in fact, it's fatalism. A bad thing will happen if you touch the culture. If you say the widows should not be sexually cleansed, if you say they should not be inherited, if you say there's a social injustice here, something very terrible. And what is that something terrible? Unto your daughters, unto your wives, unto your sister. Look at me. Am I not one of you? So this is how we started the conversations. So later on, we said the law will go to, whatever law we write, even if it's a draft, it will go to the assembly. How many men? 26. Will it make sense? Then when the election cycle came, out of our 10,000 plus widow movement, we got 3 out of the 4 women elected. 3 are our widows elected into the assembly. So these little steps, they may look little because we are saying them here, but for us they are huge. They are huge. They take strategies, they take tactics, they take resourcing, and they take creativity so that you can maneuver a cultural system that does not see the widowed woman. Then we came back and said, let's now make it a widow's protection law. And we lobbied the church and said, write even a little something. Write a report and say there's a problem even within the church system. So we got this widow's protection law, and that was 7 years ago. Now we have it enacted as a law. And it is one thing to have it as a law, but it is another thing to get it implemented and get it supported by the widows, consumed by the widow themselves. Because the widows don't know. They don't know this. They don't know this was wrong. They don't know it is wrong to dehumanize you. It is wrong to rape you in the name of culture. It is wrong to say you are invisible. They have no clue. And the language of it, the language of the law. So we are in the phases where we are going to translate the law into the local dialect. But the amazing thing is the strategies and creative tools that we use. Recently, I wrote a book. And I went to the Kenyan education system and I said, would you be able to accept a form of literature that speaks to empathy and speaks to the Kenyan context of women post-HIV and AIDS and post-COVID-19? And they say, share the tool. And they say, can we actually have it piloted in a few schools so that we know what this is about? What I'm saying is you have to provide the tools too. So the Kenyan education system is adopting the poetry book that I wrote, Grieving as a Widow. These are my grief notes. These are my grave clothes that I came out with. And they're saying it is palatable. In one of them I'm saying, they said, sit here, don't move, don't eat anything, don't wear colors, don't go anywhere, sit here. I thought when people, they come to mourn, to cry, to worship, to listen to speeches, then everybody goes, and even me, I go to. But for me, they said, wait here. So these are the tools we are using. Language of speech, tools that are palatable, organizing, changing the systems. And I think in the region, Kenya is becoming a best practice on how to transform widowhood into systemic change. And it is because you created this day, and it gave us power. And I thank you.